It's time for Side Scrollers with me, Stuttering Craig. You decide when you lose, not other people. And Blabs.
I like pickles.
And co-hosted by our friends from around the internet. If you like common sense, hit that thumbs up button and, of course, the subscribe button. And join us Monday through Friday live at 11 a.m. Central Time. And now, broadcasting from our homes, it's time for the #1 gaming and entertainment podcast on God's green earth. It's time for Side Scrollers.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome on out to Side Scrollers on YouTube.com and Rumble.com and SideScrollers.locals.com. Holy moly, what is going on, everybody? Hi. I'm Stuttering Craig. Happy Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to you. My God. Really, I legit had to think about that for a second. It is Thursday, which means we are one day from the, I guess 2 days away from the weekend. Hello, Blabs. How are you?
Listen, you're awful. First, he can't read my DMs. Now he's trying to figure out what days of the week it is.
Listen, it's been a long week. It's been a long week. It was a long, I told you, I was up super late last night. I'm on about 3 hours of sleep. I just pumped 300 milligrams of caffeine in my body, right? I'm trying to get hyped, get ready to go, talk about the news and all that stuff. So here we are.
Listen, chat, I just want to say, if you will send Craig a bunch of children's grammar books, he will go open up a stream one day and just start working on them for you, okay?
Not accurate. That is
not accurate. 100%. It's gonna happen. Send him all the Dr. Seuss and Cliffords and everything, all of them, and that way Craig will just one day start streaming. He'll just be like, a cat and hat, and you'll be like, writing it all down.
Well, I'll tell you what. I would be open to a children's book reading stream where I just go down because I have a lot. Yes, it would really educate me with my reading skills. Speaking of reading books to kids, a man who him and his wife want to have 346 children. Malcolm is joining us.
I would if I could, and I have looked into technology to make it feasible. It's just not on the market yet. If they had exowombs or xenowombs that I could use, I would be farming children in my backyard. That's the goal right here. And I got to warn you guys about this Dr. Seuss stuff. I have heard that he was a racist and that we should not be showing any of his books to children.
It's tough,
because
man.
He was a racist, we should be showing them off.
You can't expose kids to dangerous ideas like that. We need to keep them on very mainstream topics.
Listen, whatever would you do? I mean, who really is the cat? And what really does the hat represent at the end of the day? I mean, the hat clearly represents some sort of capitalistic society that is holding the cat down. It's ridiculous. So whatever. Here we are. Glad you're with us, Malcolm. How's everything going?
Everything is spectacular. I was...
Yeah.
I am just so excited to be alive today. What a lucky world we live in.
Hell yes. Absolutely. Listen, for those who don't know, we had Malcolm and his wonderful wife on recently. They have a great channel called Based Camp, which I encourage everyone to go check out. Link to that is down below. Why don't you give everybody just a quick rundown about what you guys do on Based Camp?
Yeah, so my wife and I went viral for the elite couple breeding to save mankind because we've been pushing this pro-natalist agenda that initially everyone said we were crazy for saying birth rates are falling at a scary fast rate. And now they're like, that's happening, but it's a good thing. So at least we've transitioned to stage 2 of denial. And our channel, we talk about politics, religion, sexuality, basically anything you're not allowed to talk about. But trying to approach it from a first principles perspective while staying entertaining. And we're really trying to decide, how can we create a stable society? If fertility rates are falling all over the world today, how can we create subcultural groups that can protect themselves, stay high fertility, and inherit the world that the progressives in the urban monoculture is ceding to us?
So really, you want to have babies and lots of babies, which is great.
Yes, but it's also more of a world domination scheme. I mean, as I say, if I have 8 kids and they have 8 kids and we do that for just 11 generations, that's more descendants than live on Earth today.
You'd be straight like Genghis Khan over here. I mean, that'd be great that you're over here like just, yeah. I mean, go get it, buddy. Go get it. All right, Malcolm. Love that.
All right. Well, I'm excited to be here with you guys.
Yes. It's listen, last time you were on, you really brought it, which was great. And we look forward to that today as well. I would like to remind everybody, we are also live over at rumble.com/sidestrollers. Join us over there if you haven't yet. We love Rumble because why, Blabs?
It's organically grown.
That's right.
We grow organically. It's not like we're outside in the garden growing organically. Anyway.
It's good stuff. Also, you could have found out that Malcolm was going to be on the show if you followed us over on X at x.com/sidescrollerpod, which is great. We also have an Instagram, don't we, Blabs?
Yes, we do. So follow us for memes and clips of the show. Otherwise, some sort of violence on the violent wheel. We're gonna hang you by your eyelids.
Whoa. Okay, that's pretty violent. Would you be? Yeah, that's a nice level of violence. I give that a 7 out of 10 violence scale. Pretty good. We also have a Kick account at kick.com/sidescrollers. If you just find your way over there one day during the show and you're like, hey, what's going on over here? You can find us over there, which is great. Also, you can find the audio version of the show over on Apple Podcast every single day. It's uploaded. If you want to listen to the show instead of looking at our stupid faces, you can over on Apple Podcast and Spotify. And of course, you can find us over at sidescrollers.locals.com, where we're going to be doing all sorts of fun stuff, including Blabs. We didn't do it yesterday, but you said there's some sort of reaction video that I need to do.
Oh, you have Malcolm. Have you seen the Shrek is Life video?
No.
I feel like maybe we should do a locals video or just do a reaction video live on YouTube. Right, this stream.
Maybe you would do it over at sidescrollers.locals.com. We'll have that up to you later today.
Your channel's staying up. Thank you.
That'll be great. So yes, you can find us over there, which is great. But if it's your first time tuning in to us over here on YouTube, hey, do us a favor, hit the subscribe button. Join the 80,424 common sense lovers of common sense in the video game and entertainment space. We greatly appreciate that, which is great. Do us a favor, scroll your little mouse over to that thumbs up and hit it, because our goal is 800 likes every single stream. And of course, our goal of 25 memberships to the channel every single stream. We're going to do it. We're going to do it today. I can feel it. And this month's merchandise, I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that Blabs, even before the show got started, 2011 Burnout came in and picked up the brand new Blabs Karaoke Bar staff t-shirt, available right now, and the bucket hat, which is great. Well, they didn't pick up the bucket hat, but I'm just telling you.
I'm just trying to pipe up the bucket hat, man.
Yes.
Supreme bucket hat.
Malcolm, what's your thoughts on bucket hats?
I was looking, I was like, what was the choice? What motivated the bucket hat choice?
I like bucket hats. I love them. That's it. That's the only thing.
Piece. It's a statement piece. Show personality, and no one will accuse you of being a fedora wearer.
Exactly. See, like really I've been wearing bucket hats since I was a kid. It's a little tiny thing. And then ever since I started doing like my safari type streams, so like Jurassic World or Zoo Tycoon or whatever it is, I start wearing my little bucket hat. And even when I do Thought Watch on Kick, you're going on an adventure, so you need your little bucket hat. So I just wear it every so often on streams too if I don't feel like playing with my hair. The end.
Now we know. Everyone
Malcolm's like, oh my God, why did I ask?
There we go. Which is great. Yes, go pick that up right now. Delta came in with a $1 direct donation. Says, Craig, Genghis Khan, is Malcolm propagating all across America himself, or just advocating alongside his wife? Oh no.
But, I mean, look, we're joking when I talk about that stuff. We're advocating for higher fertility rates, and we have to be a high fertility rate family to do that without looking like sociopaths. I mean, I'd look like a crazy person if I was like, fertility rates are an issue and I wasn't doing my part.
Everyone, just do your wife's. Okay, that's really what it comes down to. Just do your wife's, right? Do them good and have babies. There you go. Hey, that's really what it comes down to. And wives, do your husbands. There you go.
We need to have that on like kid propaganda now. Get married and have fornication. Have carnal relations. We need you to do this for the species.
That's right. While we're at it, we might as well just throw this one out here too.
What number are we thinking of? 69, dudes!
Okay, but seriously. What's that, Blabs?
So that one doesn't get you pregnant.
No, that one will get you pregnant. That's the rumor.
Biology, guys.
Yeah, that's crazy. Hey, look at this. How nice is this? Anzac came in and says, entertaining channel. Hey, thanks. Appreciate that. That's wonderful. We really appreciate that. A lot of people think otherwise, but we appreciate you popping in and with your support. Raging Rhino came in with the support. The $7.99 says, well, let me try to do this like an Australian as best as possible. Good day, guys. Thanks for the shout out yesterday. It helped me get past 5,700 subs. Cheers, guys. You guys are doing great. Keep punching.
Are you like sounding like an autistic Australian? What was that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what that was.
So Mom got it.
Yeah, that's right. And I was doing my impersonation of Raging Rhino, an autistic Australian. Good day, guys. There you go.
Thank you, Rhino.
Appreciate that, Rhino. Congratulations, man. Keep on going. Love that. Toma came in with the $20 super chat. Says, so I see you're trying to claim the title of Shinzo Abe, strongest soldier or soldier. Tomac. All right. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Tomac, for your massive $20 super chat. Magnum Norse came in and says, Blabs is smoking Kush while Craig is cross-eyed. Stupid face.
I've never smoked Kush in my life.
But I have been cross-eyed. So you're 1 for 2 there, Magnum Norse. Congratulations. Andrew came in and says, fun fact, at least 16 million people can trace their ancestry back to Genghis Khan. Wow.
Yeah.
He dipped his wick in all sorts of things, didn't he? Tell you what. Thanks, Andrew. Appreciate that. The more you know. Matthew came in with the $10 Canadian. Says, I believe that the reason why birth rates are so low nowadays is because the standards to even get into a relationship are so high that the average person, particularly the males, have no chance. Huh. That's interesting.
I want to elevate this comment here because it's something where I've been looking at a lot of videos on YouTube of like what women think the average man earns when they're trying to gauge like who they get in a relationship with. And the standards are just completely unrealistic. I feel so sad for the kids out there.
It's tough, man. Like I've seen these videos of these college girls thinking that the average guy make over $100,000 a year. It's like, what clown world do you think you live in? And I know that you have to make $100,000 a year just to break even now in this economy, but that's very hard to do. Very hard to do.
Or one woman being like, "Oh, I don't want much. I just want a house with but I do want 1 room per kid." Like she's like, "Well, I guess 1 extra room per kid." I was like, "Who has 1 room per kid? You stack those kids like logs. Like there is no reason." I stack them in my office behind me.
Let's go.
Look at that. I was actually thinking that's what it was before the stream started. I was like, is that where the kids sleep? And it is. It's amazing.
Counter-cyclical community asset. You see, I'm in the office during the day, so it doesn't matter that their beds are here and I'm not in the office at night, so why not?
Love that.
That works. It's smart. I didn't have my own room until I was like 16, and that was because my sibling went off to college. So then I got my own room, but her stuff was still there.
We missed one of the shout outs, by the way.
Did we? Kids, go back to the pods. Go to the pods, kids. Oh man. Oh well, we don't miss anything. What are you saying though, Malcolm?
It was one of the ones where I was talking. You guys didn't shout it out. It was a $10 donation, I think.
That was the one that you were referencing right there.
Oh, okay.
Yes. I wanted to pull that back up. Blabs, what's the name here?
Wildo Teabaggins.
That's right. And that's said.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you wanted me to read it. Remember, gents, if there's mud on your turtle, there is no baby.
It took me far too long to figure out.
There's mud on your turtle. Oh, anyway, moving on. Another edition of Blabs Learns. There's so many different names today. Turtle. I've never heard that one. Wow.
There's I've read some stories of people in developing countries, like in the Middle East, like struggling to get pregnant, and then they go to a doctor and explain it to them, and it turns out that they were just doing that the whole time, and they were horrified. And when they learned what real sex was,
She's not
Oh
getting
no!
pregnant. She's not getting pregnant. Well, yeah, it's the, okay.
The birds
Okay.
and the bees. Anyway,
Oh my God.
that's too
Hey,
sad.
Jake came in, says, never do that accent again.
I bet you Jake's from Australia and he's probably insulted. I would be too to be.
It was fine. I don't know why we're being so harsh on the accent here.
I agree. I thought it was pretty good. While I was doing it, I was like, I think I'm nailing this right now. But apparently I did not nail the autistic Australian accent, which
I mean,
thought-
Rhino's not autistic. He's just dyslexic. There's a difference.
Listen. You can't tell me Rhino's not autistic. No,
He's
I'm
not.
just
He's
kidding.
just
I'm just kidding.
the other ones.
No, I'm just kidding. Oh, man. This is
The
Go ahead, Mike.
autists are taking over. Two of our kids are autistic, and my wife is autistic.
Mm-hmm.
And at the pronatalist conference, for all the people who are interested in high fertility rates, like a third of the people there were autistic. And so we came up with this term we want to troll the media with, which is the greater replacement theory, which is that the pronatalist movement is about replacing the population with autists. That's our goal.
If the entire world was autistic, we would have the most high functioning, amazing society of just people who are so focused on getting shit done the right way. It would be spectacular.
I want to live in that world.
Except when some of them are socially awkward and then things might not actually get done because they're afraid to interact with other people. And then that's when the problems start.
Hold on. Socially awkward just means that you're not playing this ridiculous social game our society plays. Like, even as a non-autist, I take great solace in the fact that my wife plays none of these social games. It is so much easier to communicate.
Yes.
This whole world is like this weird social kabuki theater that we have to play in for hierarchy. And I'm done with it. I want to declare bankruptcy on that whole human thing that we tried for a while. It failed. It was a bad experiment.
You want to bring the robots in and just clear everybody out, huh? You're waiting for AI to come in and just wipe us off the planet.
Listen. I will counter your social skills by one. So when I was in middle school, there was this severely autistic girl, and she tried to go underneath the stalls when girls were using the bathroom. So I will counter that to say no, we should not be doing that. That is a bad social skill to have. Okay.
Oh, man. Well, listen, we can have bathroom stall talk all day long, specifically of the autistic variety, but we're not. But Ian came in with 10 gifted memberships. Wow, what a great start to the show. Hey, Malcolm, guess what? You get to pick the color that goes on the wall today. Actually, I'm going to limit your color selection because we're running low on space over here. Let's go with we got 3 colors to choose from today. Let's go red, yellow. Okay. You get to pick of the colors. Which color would you like to use today?
Yellow.
Yellow it is. Sounds good. Give it up for, he said it with such purpose too. Yellow. Love it.
It's because yellow flashes in the chat.
That's true. Yellow.
I mean, I've always said if you can't choose a favorite color, you're probably a communist.
Right. Or you just like
Straight
red.
to the point.
Well, no, I mean, they're like all colors are equal. No, not all colors are equal. There is always a best, even if it's subjective.
And why is it green?
Well, today it's yellow. Thank you so much, Ian. If you guys got gifted membership, make sure you say thank you to Ian. Consider paying it forward.
Don't forget to say the magic word, Craig, for Ian. What was that? Did you just burp into the microphone? Say it with your chest, man. We have other issues.
I'm going to read that off.
Magnum Norris says, Blast is not smoking kush while Craig is doing his pod speech. LOL.
Wait, is kush a new word for marijuana or something?
Yeah.
It's
not a new word.
Yeah, it's it's been around for,
I guess I'm just too square.
Years.
You're just a big square.
You're too hip to be square. That's all, Blabs?
Matthew Cooper for 10 says, unfortunately, in my experience, a lot of women judging men on standards that men neither know about nor understand. Don't judge a fish by their tree climbing ability. The fish has no concept of tree.
There was this woman going viral for saying that she couldn't count how many men she turned down because they didn't have iPhones. because they pulled out androids. And I'm like, what standards are women using these days? This is not going to sort for a high quality partner. This is insane. But he's right in saying that.
Wow. But also, like, androids are supreme, so why wouldn't you date a person with an android? I'm just saying.
All right. Nice. Okay. Is this how we're
I mean, I don't judge men based on their phones, but I would say androids are better than Apple.
Wow.
Sorry.
A tweet that I've always loved about marriages these days is it feels like being in a happy marriage these days is getting on the last chopper out of Nam. I just feel like leaving and watching the hellscape being torn down below me. It is terrifying what young men are going through these days.
It's funny. I had this conversation. I was on a show called Normal World last night, which was really fun. I encourage everyone to go check that out. It was a really fun episode. I was on with Dave Landau, Quarter Black Garrett, and this wonderful comedian Jimmy. And before the show, we were actually Jimmy was talking about dating and using dating apps and going on Tinder, and he was talking to the producer who was a young lady, and she was talking about how they date. And man, I'm so like you. I'm so lucky I got out of the game before all that nonsense happens, because I can't even imagine what young men and women are going through right now, trying to find a partner, trying to find somebody to go on a date with, when they've made it so easy, but they've taken away the entire process of having to build up the courage to go up and talk to a girl or talk to a woman and say, hey, I'm Joe. Nice to meet you. Can I, how are you? And just actually having that icebreaker. Now the icebreaker is swiping right.
You also have the problem of women, the swipe-based apps are causing women to misperceive their own value on the market. And so they think that they can secure for a long-term relationship or a marriage the quality of guy that they can secure for casual sex. And that's just not true. And so it's leading them to be really unhappy in the relationships that they're securing. And then once they're in those relationships, because there is no social cost to breaking up with a potential long-term partner in our society anymore, the switching costs are incredibly low to just go back out there and try to find someone better. And as we say in our book on relationships, relationship stability is really defined by each partner's belief in the quality of partner they can get outside of the relationship, divided by the quality that they think that the partner that they're with right now is providing them. And there used to be a lot of externalities that sort of help that equation. Like, well, if you leave your partner, then no one's going to want to date you because you're a divorcee or something, when that's just not true anymore, which makes relationships uniquely unstable.
I've wanted to do a relationship style podcast for a long time, like its own separate show, like a call-in style show. Kind of like Loveline or whatever. And I was actually talking with Desiree about this recently. And she was like, oh, that'd be so much fun to do. But anyways, yeah, maybe we'll do that. I think there's such a larger conversation, as a one-off type thing. That'd be a really fun conversation to have.
Happy to do it if you decide to.
Yeah. Hey, Alec Baldwin's finger came in. Let's go with that new member. Hey, thank you so much, buddy. Appreciate that. Came in and dropped a bomb last week, which was spectacular. Always a pleasure to have you back, buddy. Thank you so much. Janice came in as a member for 19 months. Just purchased the Blabs the Tower Chart karaoke shirt. Also, just finished watching Craig's appearance on Normal World. Great live guest appearance. Hey, thanks, Janice. Appreciate that. Head on over there to the comments. Let them know that you want to see me back more and more and more, because it was fun. Agent Strawman says, Craig, a few streams ago, you called Blabs insufferable. I was in jest. Blabs is great. Says that's categorically untrue because we suffer through her every stream. My favorite thing
You're
about
welcome.
I love that our clips, people you just kind of hang out in the corner and you do a really good job of letting hosts and the guests speak, right? And you chime in when you need to chime in. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the beauty of your name being Blabs, is people are like, how come she doesn't talk that much? But
I know, it's really funny. But then if you go to my own YouTube channel, then I don't just shut up. So it's a win-win.
It's great. It's great. Torgo says another episode of base scrollers. Let's go. Thanks, Torgo. Magnum North has signed me up for the Auto Society of Retarded Basters. All right. Thank you very much. Ministry of Dinosaurs says, will we replace the population with dinosaurs?
Yes, I'm okay with that. I will build you all in my park in Jurassic World Evolution.
There you go. Rebound says, ever look at a shade of green and think to yourself, that green really looks nice. Anyways, I like army green. If you've ever seen the hills of Ireland, you'll say that's some nice green because they have some beautiful.
Yeah, I want to go one day.
It's an unusually green country.
Yes, very
You
much so.
think Greenland would be very green, but it's not.
It's not. If there's anything I learned from the Mighty Ducks, it's that Iceland is green and that Greenland is ice. That's right.
Mhm.
And I've
Weird,
been to
right?
both. Yeah, I've been to both, which is great. Snake Master says, Blabs, you get little kitty big city out today.
Is that
Little
like some
City-
weird innuendo? Is it an actual video game?
I'm sure maybe a little quick Google search might help you
All
there.
right.
Blabs. Thanks, Snake Master. Sigrun came in, says, I think the generally accepted standard for average women is the 3 6s, 6 foot tall, 6 figures, 6 inches. Huh.
Which is like a fraction of the population. It's like
Right.
0.4%. But many women actually have that set of standards.
Who has 6 inches? God, that's ridiculous. No, I'm just kidding. Thanks, Sigrun. Appreciate that.
Oh my God, what is this game? It's literally a cat.
In a big city,
In a
I
city.
bet.
Oh my God, I need it.
Magnum North says women are being taught to hate men. Lol.
But they really are. Was this bear meme that's been going around recently? Would you rather be in the woods with a bear or a random man? Imagine if you replaced this by like random black man or something like that. And then you played these responses. You'd be like, wow, this is a group of people that is really systemically taught to hate black people. And yet you take that out and we as a society have no problem when it's men broadly that they're categorizing so vociferously. It's really horrifying to see this level of brainwashing and hate.
We actually had that conversation before the show last night, talking about I think it was on the show last night. We talked about that meme, the men versus bear in the woods thing. And the producer of the show, who is a woman, was like, I'd rather be in the forest with a bear. I was like, you're going to die, right? Like you would rather have certain death with a bear or maybe some uncomfortable moments with a sleazeball, right? Like, I think I'd rather have the uncomfortable moments, right? And a chance to defend myself. But once again, you are proclaiming that all men are going to do something horrible. That's stupid. All bears will murder you. I'm just going to throw it out there, So
it shows the level of bigotry on display. Like that is bigotry when you assume a negative about an entire group of people for something they didn't choose.
And I am assuming I am being incredibly bigoted towards bears. I'll tell you that right now. Hey, the Pally Dan says, member, chicken dinner. Let's go. Thank you very much for that membership. Tuanushi came in and says, did Normal World just have normal men? Listen, if there's one thing that I can...
Normal men.
What do you mean, normal men?
We're just innocent men.
The snort.
It is the snort for sure. Hey, Diz the Jizzbot 199 came in as a new member.
Avatar.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. And not to be outdone, Kratos El Gratos over on the direct donation line came in with a $100 direct donation. You guys are spectacular today. Thank you so much. He just simply says,
Developers.
Yes.
and then followed it up and says, Blabs, can you sing the first 2 verses of What a Wonderful World as Tower Tar to promote her karaoke merch? As I sing to myself. Hey, speaking of,
That's
Stardust Viking.
What's
Stardust
that
Viking.
Kermit?
No, that was Louis Armstrong. Janice and Stardust Viking both picked up your Blabs Karaoke t-shirt, which is great. Look, we've been talking for 29 minutes. We haven't even got to any news. This is ridiculous. You guys have been spectacular today. I'm going to put this on the wall. We're going to read every single super chat that comes in today, every single Rumble rant, every single direct donation. Thank you guys so much for your support. We'll get to every single one of them throughout the show. I do want to point out that Johnny the Butcher came in at the 20. Jesus Louise. He says, Blabs, have you heard Have you heard of Fossil Fuel 1 or 2? Look it up. It's a game. Hi, everyone. Johnny the Butcher. Great to see you, buddy. Always
Hi, Johnny. No, I've never heard of that. Fossil fuel. But no.
Right. There's 2 of them, Blabs.
Yeah, I've not heard of either one.
All right. Okay, let's get into it, Blabs. What do we have today as far as today in gaming history?
This is a really weird segment for today. So as it's May 9th, 24 years ago, Hot Wheels Micro Racers was released, as well as the Equestrian Showcase video game. Now, I swear that this game was also available on PC sometime, because I remember playing some equestrian game when I was a kid, so that's why I threw it up there. But this one's for Craig. Mario and Donkey Kong Minis on the Move, released 11 years ago in 2013. Craig, did you play that one?
I don't think I played that one. Is that a sequel, or is that the Mario? Is that the original Mario? No, that's not the original one, because the original one was on the GBA.
Well, this would be on the Wii.
Yeah, I did not play that one.
Or Nintendo DS.
That was a pretty weak today in gaming history.
Yeah, there really wasn't any good releases for May 9th. I guess it's not a good release date.
That's
Well,
okay.
a game is dropping today that I wanted to promote in like 30 minutes.
Yes.
It was made by an indie studio in Hungary. That's why, we got to promote our indie studios. Called King Arthur Legion 9. It's the second after the King Arthur series, and it's in a isometric top-down style, similar to like Warhammer Grey Knight, or perhaps more popularly. Why am I brain farting on this? Oh, well.
I don't know. It's okay.
But I liked the first game a lot. It had a meter. One of the morality meters was how Christian you were. And this one is about recreating the Roman Empire in Avalon, or ancient Britain, which, of course, fun.
How Christian are you? Nice.
I want to
Love
point
that.
out that chat actually seems to have played Equestrian Showcase. That's kind of fun. Haha,
Let's go.
horses.
Let's go.
I wonder if Vosh has played the game.
He's a big fan of that game. He's like, oh man, I love Equestrian Showcase. It's on my PC. Hey, a quick reminder that Today in Gaming History is brought to you by our friends over at Zydax PCs. If you guys are in the market for a PC, consider checking them out. Link is in the description down below. They have a lifetime warranty on parts and labor, which means if you bought a GPU with a manufacturer warranty of like 1 year and it blows up at month 13, guess what? They're going to 100% cover you. Also, all Zydax PCs are hand-built in Salt Lake City, Utah, with U.S.-only tech support, which is great. And they specialize in customization, from LEDs, laser etching, paint. They got everything covered. So definitely check it out. Zydax PCs. They support us, so please consider supporting them. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate that. All right. Like I said, we got a lot to talk about today, and golly, does the news just never ends, which is what makes this show so much fun. With that said, it's time for my favorite segment, your favorite segment, everybody in the world's favorite segment, literally everyone, Blabs.
Yes.
It's time for hard news. All right. We love talking about movies here on the channel. We talk about them all the time. And one of the most popular movies of the past 6 months has been Godzilla -1. It came out. It had a, $10 million budget, $15 million. It was a very small budget and just decimated the box office, made hundreds of millions of dollars, I believe. Malcolm, are you a Godzilla guy?
I have watched a lot of the old ones, but I haven't seen this new one yet.
So there are two new ones. There was the Godzilla -1, and then there was Godzilla versus King Kong or something that came out. And that one didn't do very well. But Godzilla -1, everyone was like, did you see it? Jesus, the best. And then people, they like re-released it in black and white in the theaters. And people are like, whoa, you got to see it in black and white now. It's great. Anyways, while that's all interesting and fun and dandy, what's most interesting about this is that Godzilla -1 is the most pirated movie in the world currently, as the film is only available on Prime Video in Japan. That's the only place you can find it. So people are taken to the seas and pirating Godzilla -1 because there's so much behind it. Malcolm, what's your stance on piracy? Do you think that piracy as a whole, this is kind of a loaded question, because some people will say that piracy will actually help the end result of the movie. And those who are purists will say that piracy will ultimately detract from these people from making more money, which ultimately could lead to less Godzilla -1s, right? But I don't know.
I take almost a neutral stance on piracy in saying, like, when you're developing a moral framework, you need sort of a true moral North Star. What are you aiming for human civilization wise, instead of, just creating a series of rules for yourself? And I want, humanity to continue to develop and flourish in the future. And when I look at the issue of individual piracy, I would probably be against piracying anything made by like an indie studio or something like that. But if I'm talking about like big corporate made movies, I don't really mind, or anything that is not accessible through other means. But generally, personally, like, when do I pirate? It's whenever it's the most convenient way to watch something. And there was a period where piracy was almost always the most convenient way to watch something. Then the streaming platforms came out, and now again, piracy is becoming more convenient.
Right.
Yeah. And was this one? I'm really wondering, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Why do you think it's only on the Amazon Prime in Japan? Like what contractual decision led to that? I'm assuming it's a contract trap or something.
Yeah, something was done there where somebody was like, yeah, that makes sense. Oftentimes those contracts are they're signed long before the movie hits theaters, and they know the distribution plan for it long ahead. So maybe they didn't think the movie was going to do that well, and they're like, we'll just have a slow trickle release. But as pointed out in the chat, I think Rodimus Prime says, they people are pirating it, but they're also saying that they're pirating because they want to see it. But people have also said they are willing to support it because they're so excited once it's actually available. So, it's really weird. So I could see the long-term effects. Like I said, there's two sides of the argument when it comes to this type of thing, right? You could argue that by pirating a movie like Godzilla, you are potentially making brand new Godzilla fans for later down the line, which may potentially purchase Godzilla, go see Godzilla movies, Godzilla merchandise, whatever, down the line. But that doesn't benefit Godzilla -1 in the moment. It could create long-term fans. The other would say that, like, some people would say, hey, I watched it, I liked it so much, now I want to buy the digital release or the physical release, whatever it is, because I enjoyed it so much when it wasn't available to me. So there's definitely two sides to it, and I've really kind of gone back and forth on the whole piracy thing pretty much my entire life. But I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I think that corporations will tell you it's really bad. I think the consumer will say it's really good, and to each their own, I suppose. So I mentioned this before, but we released a way back in the day. I published the Angry Video Game Nerd video game on Steam, and 9 out of 10 people who played the game pirated it, and that was like, because it was an indie game. We had a budget. I think the game made like $50,000-$60,000. It wasn't like this major hit or anything like that. But if like half of those people had paid, I don't know, $1, $5 for the game, it would, like, we would have been in a killer situation, right? So it really hurt us then. So I've definitely seen both sides of the argument, but it is interesting to see, that there is so much demand for it, for sure. So as Roddy says, I will buy it on Blu-ray, need it physically. There you go. So, all right, let's move on to another quick hit when it comes to movies. And this is, I'd say, all this Lord of the Rings news blabs coming out. I see it, and all of a sudden the floodgates open. We have people dying that were in this series, and now we have a new Lord of the Rings films that are being worked on by Peter Jackson. Wow. Did anybody see this?
This was actually huge because this was Warner Brothers, and the very same year, 2026, is also expected the Harry Potter show. So Warner Brothers is gonna like either do amazingly well in 2026 or like go down the drain.
I think Big Blue Dog is right. I have single-handedly revived Lord of the Rings from its and, I really appreciate that. I am the preeminent Lord of the Rings expert on this show, and maybe on the internet. And I appreciate everybody's faith. With that said, Malcolm, you've seen Lord of the Rings. First off, Do you think this is necessary? Like, do you think that they should make a third, like revive it after a 20-year slumber?
You know, I was just looking at this and thinking, like, I almost like, are we just gonna keep remaking the same movies over and over again? Like, can we get some new, like, good fantasy universes and stuff? Even the shows that are, you know, being made now are often off of quite old properties. But then Lord of the Rings is a good show, and the first one was good, so why not redo it? You know, it created the entire fantasy genre. I'm gonna watch it. You know, if they do it, I'm gonna watch it. So, you know, I can't hate them from a capitalist standpoint.
I just want to point out this is not a remake.
Yes, this is a brand new films.
Yeah, so it'll center on Gollum, and Andy Serkis is set to star and direct.
Oh, well, that's
So
interesting.
It is interesting. It's nice that Andy Serkis is coming back. You still gotta question all of the DEI motives and everything in the movie, but it's not a remake, guys.
A little risky to do after that Gollum game.
Especially the AI chat apology.
Well, spoiler, like Gollum dies, right? So
Yeah, it's like a
I'm assuming
prequel.
This happens. This is a prequel. Yeah, this is how but I feel like we learned everything we need to know about.
I know,
Gollum.
we
Like,
saw him.
yeah, we saw him how he became Gollum and all. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess we saw his transformation over the series.
Maybe we'll see him when he's a nice, young, sweet, innocent hobbit before the ring shows up.
Yeah, but what do you gain from that? Like, what do you gain from knowing?
Yeah, we know his end game.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
will it make you feel better or worse because you know that he was a nice young man or something? Because we learned that in the 10 minutes at the start of Return of the King, right? We learned that he was like this nice young man, but the ring turned him. It was the ring, and he strangled his buddy, and it was, you know, like, yes, the ring made him bad. We get it, right? It doesn't matter how nice he was. We know the end result. So I don't know. I'm kind of like, I don't know, you know.
The
like,
working title of it is called The Hunt for Gollum.
Okay. I mean, great. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll see.
I think
But
everyone should just be
2026.
cautiously optimistic.
I also think 2026 is a very quick turnaround for this. Like, it's not that long. And 2 years to make a new Lord of the Rings film.
And we're almost
Seems-
halfway there of
Right.
2024.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, yes. As the chat has pointed out, I'm sure that Gollum will be some sort of they them, or there'll be some sort of identity politics. Yes.
I think Gollum would make for. I had a post on one of my things, which is the Lord of the Rings is transphobic, and I had a picture of Gollum. With the joke being that he looks the way I imagine, you know, typical far.
oh my god.
Ridiculous. That's awesome. All right, we'll keep moving on. But first, I want to let you know that Corey came in with the $20 super chat. Thank you very much, Corey. He says this whole bear versus man in the woods trend is such, I guess, crap or such cap. One of these two are an apex predator, and it ain't the bear. Let's go, Corey. Fellas, don't get salty over this obvious fact. Tip your hat and let the feminists scream into the void. There you go, Corey. Hey, man, be that apex. Let's go. Love that. Thanks, Corey. Genuinely appreciate that. Tomac came back with a 20. He says, you will probably have said this by the time you read this, that as Lord Gaben once said, you need to provide better service than the pirates. Yes, Gabe from Steam. Yes, Lord Gabe. Thank you, Tomac. And Corey came back, says, Malcolm has a terrible take on piracy. There's no moral distinction between stealing from your neighbor and stealing from a corporation unless you hold a Marxist view on ownership. Thank you, Corey. Appreciate that. You're wrong, Malcolm. Wrong. That's okay.
Well, I guess I don't see I don't have a Marxist view, and I believe that part of the way that we speak in society is through how we spend our money. And when a large corporation is producing content that I believe is or pushing a moral agenda that is antithetical to my moral agenda, as most of the large companies in this country are, and yet I need to see their content to stay up to date, you know, culturally, whatever. I see that as being a capitalist choice. I am reacting with my dollars within the capitalist system as it is structured, which has piracy as a component, to the pressures that they have created.
Yeah.
Goes back to speaking with your wallet. And sometimes not without your wallet or without your wallet, which is fine. Magnum Norris says, I love y'all. Just want to make sure that Diddy has a place to hide once he's found. Thanks, Magnum Norris. Appreciate that. Has Diddy go into hiding? Is that?
I don't know. Is that a
I
thing
haven't seen him
now?
in ages.
I mean,
that fell off the radar, didn't it?
Oh, conveniently, it's a nice distraction.
Mm.
Magna Defender says, I got in trouble for calling a Discord user a lady of culture. The user and her admin friends told me they didn't use gendered terms, all because I gave a genuine compliment. Woke ladies are the worst.
What Discord were you in, and why are you still in it?
Right.
If that's how they talk to you, get out of there.
I leave. Ridiculous. That's silly. With the direct donations, Lazon Rune says, for the normal men out there, even if the ladies won't choose us, I would always choose my bros over bears. Let's go. Thanks, Louisa. Gollum says, Gollum came in with a $5 direct donation, says, we want our own box office. No filthy hobbits is stealing our spotlight. Our game was made bad by tricksy little developers. We ought to wrong their filthy... Yes, we ought to wrong their filthy little necks. Fun fact, Andy Serkis got to sign my PS4 copy of Gollum. Nice, Gollum. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. I'm sorry you own the game. I'm sorry I did a horrible person. What was worse, my impersonation of Gollum right there or Raging Rhino at the start of the show?
You know, they're both equally terrible. So
I appreciate that you go for
Welcome
it.
to South. I do. I really do. I do my best. I always give full effort here on the show, which is what I try for. Hey, speaking of full effort, Microsoft has been fully efforting shutting down studios lately, and that's been tough. And there's been a lot of talk about one of the main reasons for this is Game Pass and the success or lack of success that has been Game Pass. It's been, it's been a very good product for those who use it, but it is leveled off and it has been able to dig itself out of the hole that the investment on it. So there's a big rumor floating around that one of the biggest video games in the world is going to go to Game Pass. And wouldn't you know it, Microsoft is thinking about Call of Duty going to Game Pass, which I think would be the worst idea in history. But I would love to hear your thoughts. Malcolm, what are your thoughts on Call of Duty potentially being released on Game Pass?
I've never used a service like Game Pass before. It just doesn't appeal to me because I'd feel a little too locked into the games that are within the service. And I already get all those free games on Epic, so like if I want free random games, I can just go to my Epic account. So I guess I cannot think from the perspective of the type of customer who uses Game Pass, but I also can't think from the perspective of the type of customer who's really excited about a new Call of Duty game. So there might be a high overlap there. Call
of Duty makes $1 billion on release weekend. $1 billion. And that was, I remember hearing that stat 10 years ago. And so, I mean, it's got to be around there or more now. What a major risk. What a major risk that would be of sacrificing, your release for one of your biggest franchises to put it on Game Pass. Or, maybe they do potentially a staggered release where, it's kind of like how they used to do with Xbox and PlayStation, where the game used to be released on Xbox first, then it came out to PlayStation, or at least things were released on Xbox before they got to PlayStation, DLC, etc. Yeah. Before PlayStation kind of took over the rights to that and all that. Maybe they do a staggered release, kind of like how they would do, like a FIFA game. Like the FIFA game has its own window, and then it's released on Game Pass before the next FIFA game is released. I guess that would make a little bit of sense. Maybe they go back and they release like Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered on Game Pass instead of the new Call of Duty game. But That makes more sense to me than releasing the new version on it. I don't know. Blabs, do you have any thoughts on this?
I've never used Game Pass, and I refuse to play Call of Duty until they fix their ways. So I kind of don't really have an opinion because I just can't give one without having some type of bias.
Okay. I still think Call of Duty is one of the better values in video games. I know people are like, ugh. Yeah, I mean, like you get a lot of value in the game. Now it is, kind of like a normie game, but it's still very fun. It's a normie game because it's so successful, So, yeah, it's crazy. Let's see. I'm going to there we go. Sorry, I got neat. We're going to talk about this Disney story for a second, but Blaz, will you take us through this Star Wars Outlaw controller?
Oh yeah. So it's just a new exclusive controller that Star Wars is putting out, and I believe it's like exclusive, like pre-order only. But yes, if you scroll down, Craig, I can actually like show the controller. Thank you. So those are the two new images, guys. They're for Star Wars Outlaws. I don't know. I don't really think they scream Star Wars or anything. They're just color-coded controllers. I think that the one they released that was really, really like bad timing, where like fiery explosion. I think that one's 10 times better than these two Xbox controllers. But there they are. They are Star Wars Outlaws themed. So I don't know. Chat, let me know if you'll get these. If you even think they're nice, without even wanting to buy them. Do you think they're nice? I think they look like shit. But
These are younger siblings / guest controllers. When you go to a friend's house and they give you that weird sticky controller that looks a little off, but has the quote unquote extra features.
Yeah, I don't know. They seem creatively bankrupt for this. It looks terrible. Why would you want to pre-order this or get these?
Speaking of Star Wars Outlaws, I am really like the main female character is so unattractive. Like, what are your guys' thoughts on why they did that? Especially when the person she was modeled off of was not particularly unattractive.
So there's a lot of rumors about this saying that this was supposed to be a Han Solo game. And so that was actually supposed to be Han Solo. I don't know if you've been looking at all the other video games that's come out. I've been saying this since Hogwarts Legacy came out, that all female characters look like absolute shit. And they're just trying to make them very androgynous. And I think that's just what they're doing. I mean, it's funny because they're like, look, all female Star Wars characters look like shit. But if you go back to 2017, Iden Versio looks exactly like the actress, and she's a babe. So Iden Versio still looks good in 2017 Battlefront 2, but now this Outlaws from Ubisoft game looks like absolute shit. And I think they're just doing it on purpose because fuck women.
Well, it's a part of the war on, male sexuality, I think. Anything that could arouse males is seen as negative within far lefty circles right now. Mm-hmm. And I wonder, is this really just a let's punish men phenomenon?
I think it's let's punish everybody. Women are going to look like shit, and that's how little kids are going to perceive women to look like in the future. And also just men in general can't have the male gaze.
Ugly women have reached a position in society where they're just trying to gaslight everyone into believe that all women are ugly.
It's true. Look at Lizzo. She's trying to make body positivity, which body positivity in its own self is fine. But when you're obese and morbidly obese, that's not okay. And she's saying that's okay. So she's part of the problem, Lizzo. Please don't sit on me.
Well, this perception in female circles that like all women are equally attractive, like Lizzo is equally attractive and everything like that. It's just one of these things in our society where you're expected to lie about something that everyone knows is a lie, but then it begins to make its way into like marketing decisions where there's going to be financial ramifications. I don't expect this game to do particularly well. It's
not going to do well because of the pricing too. Like that's a whole other issue about this game. They're like the prices for this game is like insane. It's like $200. You have to have a permanent internet connection to play the game, even though it's like a one-player game. It's not multiplayer. You have to have all these requirements. This game will not do very well. The only ones who are going to buy it are like the hardcore Disney seals. They go or Star Wars, Dave Filoni, and then they'll get it. Yeah.
Well, guess what? You're right. There are those crazy Star Wars fans who are just gonna slop it all up, up the nonsense. All right. Speaking of nonsense, let's get to this story. And what's interesting about this story is we have very differing perspectives on this from people who are in the know. But we're going to get to that in just a second. But first, I want to let you know that Sigrun came in with a $50 super chat. Labs, go read that off from Sigrun real quick.
All right. Sigrun says, in regards to piracy, if media can't be accessed legally due to their poor licensing agreements or bad government policy, then you really shouldn't be surprised when someone makes the conscious decision to pirate media. Anime is huge because of piracy. Yeah, it's true.
Thanks, Sigrun. That's spectacular. And on the counterpoint to this, Corey came in with a $50 super chat. Blabs, go to read that off from Corey.
All right. Side-scroll is getting paid of my rage that I crack some.
Rage it up, Corey. Rage it so hard.
Okay, here goes. Malcolm, replace corporation with my next door neighbor in your justification for piracy, and you sound deranged. Reviewing stolen goods for profit discredits customers, bro.
Well, I don't think that corporations are my next door neighbor. You are confusing a corporation with a human being. But keep in mind, I mean, my political position is pretty extreme on this front. I mean, I call myself a bull moose Republican, meaning that unlike a traditional like libertarian, I don't think government bad, companies good. I think all large bureaucracies equally bad, and that the morality of a company is generally sort of directly proportional to how few people work there. And that when you get giant bureaucracies making decisions, the kind of groupthink that comes out of them looks and acts nothing like the way an individual logically thinking human would look and act, and can lead to great acts of evil. And so from my perspective, like when I'm looking at an individual, like my next door neighbor, that is someone who has a high degree of moral authority within my world perspective. But when I'm looking at Disney, for example, and I'm thinking, am I doing harm by harming Disney? No, I mean, I think Disney is a negative on the world right now. I think it makes our reality actively worse and lowers the probability of humanity doing great things in the future.
Corey, appreciate the discussion, man. It's always, I think we should do, just based off of the response here, we should definitely do some sort of like piracy roundtable,
Yeah, I'm writing it down.
That'd be really, really good. Hey, Brian came in with the 1999, says, love the show, saw the Addy in the description and sent you some gifts. Hey, thanks so much. Appreciate that. Yeah, we do have the, for those who never make their way down to the description, we have an address down there. We have stuff that people have sent us, which has been great. We got this Wizards and Warriors books. By the way, Eric, you mean the movies? I did indeed get the Blabs the Tower Tard shirt that he sent. I went and picked it up today. It's sitting in my kitchen. If you'd like to, Blabs, would you like me to go get that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get that.
I'll
anyways,
cover Superchats.
And anyways, we'll continue. Says, keep an eye on them. 3 package comes your way. Got to support common sense in video games. Hey, Brian, thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian.
That's awesome. All right, Blabs, go read those off before we get to this Disney story, because this Disney story is very interesting.
Spicy. All right, Kyle says, psst, become a passport bro to avoid the nonsense. Thank you, Kyle. Britt says, British racing green is best green. Yeah, thanks, Britt. Crazy T, hi, Crazy. If you choose a bear, you'll be a hashtag. Thanks, Crazy T. Rebound. That bear meme is funny. Those ladies really think I want to be stuck with them in the woods. Your only choice to begin with was the bear, lady. Thank you, Rebound. Magnum, did he do it? I got it. Epsilon Alma says, I'm currently single in my 30s, and I pretty much accepted and going to be hard to find. Hard to find a later. If you can't find a later in your 20s, it's over. It's all
long-term relationship.
Oh my God, thank you. I don't know this lingo.
Find a long-term relationship. If you can't find a long-term relationship in your 20s, it's over.
I was gonna say like later. What does that mean? I don't agree with that.
I think it does get dramatically harder.
Yes.
I think that when people are dating in their 30s, they don't know how picked over the market is. When they're like, especially women, when they're like, well, I want a guy who's over 6 feet, makes over 6 figures, 6 inches. It's like most of those guys, they're like mentally stable, are married by that stage. Mm-hmm. Other women recognize their value and didn't let them go. Like that would be a wild thing to do. And it's the same with guys, if you meet a woman who's at a baseline mentally stable, you lock that down. If you are like a sane, ambitious man these days.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely harder, but it's not impossible. So chin up, men. All right. What do you got there, Craig?
Well, actually, I have a direct donation. Speaking of chin up men going for it, Cloud's awkward attempt came in with a $5 direct donation. Says, Blabs, if you ever find yourself in the Northeast U.S. sometimes, I know Guam is far, but would you like to get some shrimp with me? Maybe lunch or some dinner?
No,
He's
thank
going
you.
for it, Blabs.
No, thank you.
Get rejected to half court, Cloud. Let's go.
Sorry, but no thanks.
First and foremost, Eric sent some great stickers, awesome stickers from Yumi in the movies. Once again, we see him on the show.
Look at that.
Is awesome, just super.
That's nice. Look at her face. Look at Kayla. She's like,
It's awesome. But we also have, speaking of great faces, the wonderful Lab, the Tower Tard shirt design, which Eric took, screen capped. This is the failed design that never made it to print, but Eric made it to print. Look at that horrible face. Look at that horrible.
I look like a clown. A clown, I should say, with a massive nose. Look at that.
Yeah, I mean, I almost feel like we should just put that face on a shirt. Like that alone.
You know what? I'm not okay with that. No, that's good.
It'd be great.
I'm not okay with looking like Pinocchio with a clown wig on my head. Thanks.
It's all good. All good. All right, let's move on to this Disney story here. This is silly Billy, to say the least. I have invited Neon from Cloudfish TV on, but I've been, we'll see if he can make it. But he did send me a full rundown of this, which is very interesting because he spoke with his wife, Geeky Sparkles, who runs piratesandprincesses.net, which is their Disney news site. But we'll get to that in just a little bit. But first, this comes from Inside the Magic. It says Disney Park takes action. Tinkerbell indefinitely suspended following controversial incident. Okay. Now, what is this controversial incident? Well, here we go. Let's go check it out. Tinkerbell seems to have left Walt Disney World and is now on her way back to Neverland following a recent change at the Walt Disney World Resort. So the long and short is there's meet and greets, whether it's Mickey Mouse or Tiana or Rapunzel, whatever. And they talk about during the pandemic, the meet and greets being removed due to social distancing and all that stuff. And it's just, looking back on all that stuff, it's just stupid. But right now, you could get a meet and greet opportunity with Tinkerbell at the very front of the park, the Town Square Theater, it's where Mickey Mouse and Tinkerbell and some pretty main characters are. But over the past year, it says this past year, the Plan Disney Committee was also asked why Tink is no longer available to meet at parks, and their response was, at present, Tinkerbell does not hold a meet and greet opportunity at the Walt Disney World Resort. Of course, she does make her evening flight over the Magic Kingdom at the end of the Happily Ever After nighttime fireworks show, which is a regular part of their thing. During our recent visit, my family had an amazing view of Tink from just outside the Plaza restaurant. So there's been talk that she's been removed, her being pulled, because she's now seen as problematic, right? And the reason why people say she's seen as problematic is that, well, she's kind of, Malcolm, you used the word thirsty.
That's her key character trait. She is thirsty and jealous, and I think representative of what many people might see as a negative stereotype of women.
Right. And Blabs, your said was, you came out over on X and said everyone's reading without bothering to do research.
True. They were just reacting based off of a photo without actually looking it up. So there's two articles floating around. One that I posted, which was from Inside the Magic. But then there was one that you took up that was from MSN. And the only thing that MSN was saying was that it was potentially problematic because she's body conscious and jealous of Peter Pan's attention. according to a 2022 report from the New York Times. So this is kind of like old news, maybe circulating again.
Yeah.
But people are freaking out now because she's being removed from one meet and greet, but she's still in the same park. You just can't do a meet and greet with her. And she's also still available as a meet and greet in another Disney park. So I feel like there's a lot of different like things going on at the same time that people just aren't taking into consideration, and they're like, blah 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 blah. And it's like, wait, let's just relax. Let's look at the big picture. Let's look everything up. It's Disney, yes, they're full of shit, yes, but let's just look into it first before everyone reacts over an image.
So
my take on this is, if you look at Clownfish TV, when they've covered incidences like this in the past, it looks like when Disney decides it wants to phase out something because it doesn't fit their ideological agenda, they typically do it in stages. It seems pretty rare that they do an all-at-once thing. And so what I take this to mean is they're probably thinking of phasing her out. And if I'm just basically sanity testing this, Disney, I think we've seen recently, is a company that values its moral and ideological agenda above a profit motive. And so I would have to ask myself, does removing Tinkerbell align with its moral and ideological agenda? Yes, it does. It seems pretty clearly that it does from their perspective. So is it plausible, or it actually would almost be weirder to me if they kept Tinkerbell around?
Well, to kind of that, I think because of the new show or whatever it was that they released on Disney Plus, they changed Tinkerbell's race and everything. So I think they're going to phase it all out and then bring her back resembling what she looks like in this modern audience. So I think they're going to bring her back as someone else.
So I asked Neon to come on the show, and he's like, hey, let me talk to Geeky Sparkles, who runs, piratesandprincesses.net. And this is what she said. She said, from what I understand, Tinkerbell isn't being removed for problematic reasons. The version currently used is the Pixie Hollow version. Disney isn't making those films now, so they're probably wanting to use the space and actor time for another character. Tinkerbell still has her statue and still flies at night, so they're not removing her. Inside the Magic is notorious for taking something that isn't a big deal and trying to turn it into big one. Neon says Inside the Magic, which is where the rumor originated from, and it says Disney switches out characters all the time. I do not think that an article from 3 to 4 years ago is why they're removing her now. And then Neon says that Pixie Hollow is the direct-to-DVD Tinkerbell movies, which are now discontinued. So here's my only counter to that would be, this seems very on brand for Disney to pull this. And just the fact that we're even having this conversation says a lot about where people think Disney is right now. But I don't know if Tinkerbell has ever been pulled. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't follow the characters' ins and outs of who they do meet and greets with or whatever. But has Tinkerbell has she ever been pulled from the parks? Because she's such an iconic character. And I know she's not, there's still the statue. She still does the flyby and all this stuff, right? I get it, right? But she's built into those shows. She's not necessarily built into a meet and greet. She doesn't necessarily have to be there, but she's always been there. And I would say that as like Tinkerbell, and this may be the problem when it comes to Disney, is Tinkerbell, she is loved. That character is loved by little girls. My daughters loved Tinkerbell because she's cute, she's smart, she flies, she's sparkly, she's magic, right? She's got pixie dust. They don't see this whole, like, as you get older, Malcolm, you're like, oh, she's thirsty, right? They don't see that, right? They don't. They just see the lovable character, the lovable aspects of Tinkerbell. So this seems like something that, I wouldn't put it past Disney by any way, shape, or form.
Agreed.
To do this.
I mean, I think that this individual choice by Disney is largely irrelevant. The larger question is do they have an ideological agenda that trumps their financial goals at the moment? And what's the long term of this particular ideological agenda? Like, if their ideological agenda succeeds, is society a worse place or a better place? And I think that those are the two real questions at play here. And I don't think that there's many people who would be arguing that Disney isn't operating under an ideological agenda at the moment.
Neon continues over on X. He says the story about Tinkerbell being purged from Disney World on account of wokeness originated with Inside the Magic. Really, what Neon's saying is that Inside the Magic is, just one giant clickbait farm, right? But he does follow up, says, I have no doubt Disney is examining characters every damn week to look for quote unquote problematic characters, but Tink makes too much money, and they've already separated her from Peter Pan with the Disney Fairies line. I think that's the other thing is Tink just makes too much money. So, they really got to be, if they do remove her, it seems they really got to be digging in on their ideology for sure.
And this is the thing about her making money is we've seen Disney repeatedly. Like if money was the primary motivator for them, Kathleen Kennedy would not still be employed. Like the force field that she has had around her implies to me that profit is a distant tertiary motivator to them, if anything.
No,
and actually for me,
on them most likely, and so she'll never get fired.
Yeah, and the old Disney movies and stuff like that, like we talk about the role it plays in people's childhoods and stuff like that. We've been moving our kids to mostly Miyazaki films, which they seem to react to much better than Disney films, and I don't need to worry as much about it going crazy. But it is sad, people are like, why do people get angry when old things that they grew up loving, turn woke? And I'm like, it's like if somebody bought your old house and then you came back and it was just a bunch of signs all over it about how much you suck. That, of course, that would be emotionally damaging to people. And that's what a lot of these properties have become to people.
Yeah, there's definitely a, it's almost like, for lack of a metaphor, it's almost like a battered wife syndrome where everybody's been beat up by Disney and their franchises, but they still want to love them in some way, shape, or form. But it's tough, man. It's really tough because I talked about this recently on the show. For the first time in my life, really for the first time in my life, because there was after Disney started going down this rabbit hole and started seeing these things, I was like, I don't want to go to Disney. But in the back of my mind, I still wanted to go to Disney. I still wanted to go because I have so much joy from my childhood. It was such I worked there. I worked at Disney. It was a great company when I worked there. I had a great experience working there. Didn't make any money, but I still had a great experience. I learned that wouldn't trade anything for it. And the company changed. And really for the first time, and I was talking to my wife about this the other day as well. Really for the first time, I can honestly say I have zero desire to go to Disney World. And I have zero desire to go and support that company. So that's, and I don't really know what did it. Just something just kind of was like, all right, I'm good. Maybe it was the time away. Usually absence makes the heart grow fonder, but not in this case. For me, it was like, oh God, I can't do it. They can't deal with this. It's just, it's the trickle down effect of all the nonsense that they're throwing down. So,
well, I also think
sorry, Malcolm, go on.
Oh, I was just going to say, I also think the quality of what they're producing in their parks and stuff just isn't what it used to be when contrasted with the neighboring parks. I can go to Harry Potter World. I can go to, Nintendo World that's coming out now. Disney World is just not the best quality park anymore, and nor is it the most magical of the parks anymore. So why am I, when I'm spending my money there, why am I doing that? I think that's
more expensive. So yeah.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine with a family of 37 like you have.
The only thing I would ever want to go to Disneyland or World or whatever it is for would be like that garden festival and then the food and wine festivals. But I hear even those are in decline too. So it's like, man, that would have been really cool maybe 10 years ago.
Well, if you look at
you can even look at the merch and how much it's declined too. Since June is coming up, I've been seeing that they're doing a lot of new merch, both Universal and Disney for Pride Month and all that. And from what I've seen, I have not done a whole lot of digging, but Universal has not inflicted all this Pride stuff into IPs like Disney has. Disney has done the whole Pride with the Mickey ears and everything for the merch, whereas Universal's just doing love is Universal. And they're just strictly speaking to Universal. So even then, it's a merch thing too, where they're actually being strategically smart about this because not everybody wants that stuff. So
yeah.
I'll say this. Speaking of Pride Month next month, you are going to want to see what we're lining up for merchandise next month.
Oh, did you take my opinion?
We're working on it. Working on it. It's going to be good. We're going to show you what Pride's all about.
Oh no, I'm afraid.
I want to say in regards to Disney, it seems to be transitioning from a brand that's targeted towards kids, because as you were saying, like, I can't afford to take a large family there. I don't think really anyone with 4 kids or more can afford to go to Disneyland, really at any income level at this point.
Right.
Which shows that it's increasingly becoming a brand that is targeted at a specific adult demographic. Which is really interesting to me that they've decided to go in that commercial direction. I mean, yes, they have more disposable income, but that adult demographic was only interested in Disney because of the role it plays in their childhood. And so they are intergenerationally destroying the potentiality of the company in the way that they are approaching this. Because the ideological faction that they are petitioning to with a lot of this is the ideological faction in American society that is least likely to have a lot of kids. So it is disproportionately targeting the families that don't have kids, which is also really fascinating when you think about sort of the long-term potential of these mimetic sets.
Those Disney adults, man. Those Disney adults. I love them some Disney. I'll say this. I went to Disney. God, I went to, it was about a year and a half ago. It was a year and a half ago, maybe a little longer. But I went to Disney because I was in Orlando to go hang out with Geeks and Gamers. And I had some time and I had a free pass. So I went to Epcot. I went for free, didn't pay for it. And I went in and I was there by myself. And I felt so fucking weird standing there, going around, like just being there by myself, walking around. I was like, everything about this place that makes it fun is stuff to do with your family, right? Like that's what makes it fun, family and friends. And I was like, oh, I left, honestly feeling kind of dirty and gross, it was one of those like, okay, all right, maybe. And that was the last time I went to Disney, and I went for free, so it's crazy.
See, when I went to Universal Studios, so I went for 2 days, like back to back, and the second day I went by myself, and I had a blast just hanging out by myself and looking at all the little details that Universal Studios has done. So I think that's a huge difference already for Disney. I'm not a kid anymore. What am I going to do? Look at Cinderella and go, whoa.
Well,
one of the things I find very odd about what Disney's doing right now, like you were talking about all the Pride push and stuff like that, and yet they're still making decisions. Like it's rumored that the decision to cancel Owl House was in part because of the centrality of a gay relationship in the show. And Owl House was fantastic. So it's like when like genuine diversity ends up finding its way into a Disney show, they'll cancel it over them. Like nothing can have any heart. It all must be corporate soullessness. And it's one of the things that I always talk about, the gay pride, 45% of gay men are said in one poll voted for Trump in the last election cycle. They are not our enemies. What is our enemy is when you look at the gay pride, which used to be a rainbow, which represented everyone under the rainbow, the specific colors, they stood for like art and music and spirituality, not like different genders, is being erased by specific call outs to specific factions or allied groups of the LGBT community, which is essentially saying these factions matter more than others. They are literally erasing inclusivity as they cover up more and more of the flag that represented everyone under the rainbow.
I'll tell you what, it's going to be extremely hard for Disney to put this on a Mickey ears as they move forward. It's going to be really, really, really hard. So it's quite the design, and the cost for thread is going to go up. That's a big color print right there. I'll tell you that much. All right, we're going to move on, and we're going to talk about we're going to get to this Suicide Squad thing here in just a second, the Kill the Justice League thing. But before we do, I want to watch a video from Apex. Malcolm, do you play Apex?
Well, no, I don't.
Okay, Apex is a phenomenal game, and I love it. I haven't played it in a long time because it was just taking too much of my time. I don't regret putting it away, but I mean, I have easily over 1,000 hours in Apex. But the idea behind Apex is that it is a battle royale game that you drop from the sky. You have 2 partners, and then you go around and you take out the rest of the teams, right? It's a really fun, fast-paced game, free to play, has really fun characters to play with, and all the characters have like different unique abilities that make them special, right? So, but obviously there's a bit of randomness when it comes to playing a battle royale games. When you drop from the sky, you got to find your armor, you got to find your gun, you got to find all your different setups. So with that said, Blabs, you've seen this clip. Have you seen this?
I actually haven't seen this Apex clip. I was waiting to watch it live.
Okay, then I want to check this out. Here we go. Let's check out. Let's see how this goes. This is the best Apex clip ever. So at this point, the guy's falling down from the sky at the spawn at the very start of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Goes in, grabs a backpack. You can already hear shots going off. Looking for a gun. Picks up some health.
Yeah, sometimes when you land, there's just no guns. Was there supposed to be a whole bunch of audio? Because we don't really hear anything.
Oh, you can't hear the audio?
No.
Oh,
No.
Bummer. Oh, that's the whole idea behind it. So sorry, my fault. While he's let me try to reshare really quick, because while he's on the ground, he's just berating the game. It's pretty great. Here we go. Let's see if you can hear it now.
Still can't hear.
Gonna get a gun? Am I ever gonna?
No, we can
Yeah,
hear
I
it.
can hear.
Okay, here we go.
Get a gun. Am I ever gonna get a gun? Am I ever gonna get a motherfucking gun?
Yeah, that's me.
Nice, dude. You're focusing me. The guy without a fucking weapon, you cum slut.
Takes me back.
What are you doing, retard? What is this game?
So he's opened up all these little chests trying to find a gun, and by this point he should have. So he's now a minute into his game, hasn't found a gun.
Bro, I'm gonna fucking lose it. Somebody clip this, bro. Somebody clip this.
Reloading. Enemy taken down.
Somebody, I'm uploading this to Twitter. I cannot handle it. Or like, why the fuck do you have a job? Why do you have a job? Why are there 3 armors? Why?
Taking out more enemies. I took an enemy's life.
Why were there 3 of those?
Right.
That's what you spawn in with.
What's in this game? Oh look, it's the guy who's been chasing me the whole lobby! Get a gun! You fucking idiots!
So he quits.
Wow.
Yikes.
Wow. I thought I was playing with the boys for a second there when he started calling everyone a retard.
As Yan Yan says, rant reminds you of them COD lobbies. That's right. That's very much what it sounded like, for sure. Classic. That's pretty great. Pretty great. The classic. He clearly had some sort of anger issues there.
Well, you often see people getting angry at games when it's clearly like they're just bad at the game. And I think what elevates this clip is the game is genuinely screwing him with RNG at an almost comedic level that makes me think it may have been preceded in some way.
Or is a massive bug or something.
I don't know how that's planned or preceded by any ways, but it's spectacular. That's spectacular. And we've all been there. We've all experienced it. We've all had poor drops, landed down and immediately killed. The fact that he was able to stay alive for 2 minutes while still running around half the map trying to find stuff, it's hilarious. Hilarious stuff. You know what's not hilarious? Corey coming in with a $100 super chat. Corey, thank you so much. Blabs is going to read this off.
All right, Corey comes back and says, I'll gladly join the Piracy Roundtable if invited. I've seen that chat ask if piracy is okay in the event of a Sony situation revoking licenses. In that scenario, Sony is a thief and is seen as scummy because stealing is scummy. It's not a CUKK take to have character. I'm assuming CUCK, but yes.
A cup is the word, I believe.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yes. Corey, thank you very much for your perspective. And yeah, man, I'll tell you what. If and when we make that happen, we'll put you on the depth chart. see if we can bring you into the game for that, because it's obviously you're very passionate about it, Corey. Appreciate
Yeah. If we do that, I want somebody arguing against me who has like a really firm position and a lot of passion behind it, because that's where you get an interesting conversation.
Yeah, love that.
Well, I
Love
wrote
that.
his name on the spreadsheet.
All right, Corey. Hey, Corey, send a tweet or something to Blabs so she has your information.
Yeah.
Good, so find her. I don't know. Corey, thank you so much for your ridiculous support today. Really appreciate that.
I really love when sane people can have disagreements, because that's so rare in society today for sane people with logically backed positions to talk it through and come to common ground is just so rare. And I really appreciate that your show can serve as a platform for that.
We try to, except for people who are totally unhinged don't see it that way. Right. And that's what's amazing about it is we try to have these conversations and we do our best. But those who are crazy will just be crazy. They damn be crazy right here.
Sometimes today feels to me like society has been like taken over by a cult, like this weird religion that believes things that aren't like backed in evidence or anything like that. And when they see people having like normal logic back conversations, trying to understand the world from first principle perspectives, they're like, oh, you guys must be Nazis. And what they really just mean is, oh, you're outside of my religion or you're outside of my ideological group. Therefore, you are undeserving of human dignity, which is, wild to me. And I'm sure that this is something you guys get all the time. It's just, we need to call it out. Oh, and that's not what he's doing. He's having a sane discussion. I need to say Corey is great. Yeah,
we're all the ists and phobes and everything associated with that, right? And like, I'm sure like we have hate watchers. We got a guy who watches us who like watches every second of the show, then takes clips and tries to use it as like gotchas, right? And it's like, what's more crazy, the things that we're saying, or that you watch every second of our show looking for things to clip out of context? I don't know. Just going to throw it out there, maybe get out the mirror. All right, let's go to this final story. Speaking of just insanity and ideology. Remember when Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was coming out and everyone was like, nope. And it was tied to Sweet Baby Inc. And that was the first big, I'd say the first big bomb to drop in this. That was the big awakening a couple months ago when that was released. It really opened a lot of people's eyes. Well, Warner Brothers has linked their failed quarter, their first quarter financial results directly to Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League for the amount of money that it missed.
It's better than that. And they linked the failed results from last year to Hogwarts Legacy.
Oh, that makes sense.
They said it ate all their profits, all their sales.
Wait, so this other game was bigger than ours, so people didn't buy our game because we didn't do a good enough job. Is that's the logic behind it?
Yeah, that's what I seem to remember. I read the article that you sent, before the show, and I remember reading that, and I was like, just double getting sort of woke body slammed here themselves.
Wow, that's insane to think about. Well, let's go to this story from IGN. As Warner Brothers says the failure of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League contributed to a $200 million hit to revenue right here. And I'm interested to see how much of this is tied if there's a single reference to the revolt to this game in this article right here, which they talk about the extremely low player numbers on Steam. Some of the frustration stems from Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League not being another Batman game from Rocksteady, despite the fact that it's set within the Arkhamverse. The developers' Batman Arkham series is much loved by the fans. Is that really? Do you think that's really why there was frustration behind that game? I feel like it's a little bit of a revisionist history when it comes to why people were so not inclined to check the game out. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. And this was just a little bit. It's just a couple months ago now. So, but the tune of a $200 million miss in the first quarter due to the failures. He says, starting with studios, the $400 million year-over-year decline during Q1 was primarily due to the very tough comp we faced in games against the success of Hogwarts Legacy last year in the first quarter, in conjunction
I
with.
understood. It's like, yeah, they developed Hogwarts Legacy, and that's why their sales are lower this year. So they actually made money from that. My bad.
Yes. In conjunction with the disappointing Suicide Squad release this past quarter, which we impaired, leading to a $200 million impact to IDIBGA that during the first quarter. Blabs, do you know what this means? EBITDA?
No, I'll look it up. But I want to point out, isn't this also
Yes,
earnings before interest, some
tax,
taxes,
depreciation,
dividends, and yeah,
a credit?
amortization, right?
It basically means how much money they're making every year that can be spent or sent to. Anyway, yeah.
It's a
But
business
I just
term.
want to point out that this is also Warner Brothers who were saying after the results of Suicide Squad that they were going to focus on online multiplayer games now instead of the one game like Hogwarts Legacy that did really well only as a single player game, which is ironic.
I'll say this. Not a single reference here to the controversy around by either Warner Brothers or IGN surrounding this game. Because I think in the grant, like when you look back at 2024, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League will not be remembered for its poor sales. They'll be remembered why the sales were poor. And I think it was the beginning of the revolt. Like it was a very big flag in the ground.
Well, there was a lot of things wrong with this game. Shitty actual gameplay was really shitty. The characters looked like crap. The bastardization of characters, it being Kevin Conroy's supposedly last ever lines. Now they're saying that there's another thing that he's done before he passed away. So it's like accumulation, not to mention obviously Sweet Baby Inc. involved with the bastardization of all the male characters. All of this just accumulated into just a big failure.
But I also find very interesting that their takeaway from this is to go more online. I mean, what this was trying to ride on the Batman Arkham brand and the quality of the early Batman Arkham games and say, oh, we're going to do that. But the way it was different from the early Batman Arkham games is that it was a live service game. So much more online, which I think in addition to the Sweet Baby Inc. controversy is one of the reasons why a lot of people didn't engage with it because they just don't have the time for those type of games. And now they're trying to move further in the direction.
Yeah, they're trying to do more multiplayer video games after Suicide Squad, which makes no sense because obviously Hogwarts Legacy, for whatever its reasons, did really well and it was a first player game. You would think they would do that. Instead, they are making a Hogwarts Legacy 2, but they're also going to focus more onto multiplayer games, which is like, but why? You flopped.
My read here is what's probably going on is a business perspective thing, even like for the online thing. It's much easier to project the potential of giant earnings with minimum development time and effort if you are using the internet to generate your content like other players and stuff like that. And so, I mean, I wonder if we're going to see a swing after thing like, you know, the explosion of Baldur's Gate and stuff like that, where people just clearly put in the time to make a really high quality game. And the financial results showed that. Because you would think that with stuff like that and Hogwarts Legacy, that you would see a shift back away from online stuff. And we're not seeing that, which I think goes to show how large bureaucracies can make decisions because of bureaucratic incentives that no individual human would ever make if they were optimizing for creating a good product and for the end user. But the Sweet Baby Inc. controversy also really needs to be elevated with this, that we are seeing a genuine revolution against these gaming companies. And, you know, it's not just this one, like the general public now seems to be anti-woke. Like the anti-woke side seems to have won with the consumers, but the large companies, due to things like the DEI departments, don't have the agility to react to the changing consumer sentiments, and are actually doubling down. Because you could say, well, you know, the game development cycle is a few years, so they just haven't reacted yet. But we see within Nintendo and Xbox and stuff like that, a doubling down on DEI sort of messaging and incentives, which, I mean, the only long-term outcome I can see from all of this is it gives an artificial boost to indie games within the gaming market, which for me is actually a great thing because indie games have been getting increasingly more like AAA games from my perspective, and are just more enjoyable overall. And the level of content you're getting in indie games is much deeper now. So I don't even see like the point of AAA games anymore almost.
No, but to further the whole like DEI really quick, this has just been released. Batman Cape Crusader first look reveals Asian American Harley Quinn. So I just thought that was really funny since we just were talking about Harley Quinn. Asian Harley!
Is she fat too?
She looks very muscular, I think. Total girl boss.
Is she Asian?
Hilda.
Is she just squinty? Is she Asian or does she just have squinty eyes?
No, apparently she's Asian. Let me see if I can find an actual thing where it says.
I love how when the far like woke people or progressive group is drawing ethnic groups, they always do it in like the most stereotyped way possible. They're like, oh, let's have an Asian character, draw squinty eyes. If you guys remember during the FAA controversy where they were trying to ask questions to ensure that the incoming class at like our towers patrolling flights was more diverse, they would ask questions like, what was your least favorite class? And the correct answer was science. Or they'd ask questions like, do you take advice from authority well? And the correct answer was no. And it's basically just a ton of negative stereotypes about Black people. This is their mindset here, which is the mindset of like a traditional racist.
So yes, the answer is she is Asian. Harley Quinn. This is Harley Quinn.
Of course she is. Of course she is. Okay, real quick, back to Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. It has obviously been a tremendous flop in the worst way possible. I always love to play the game to see where it is on the Steam charts right now. And I'm going to let you know right now that there are currently 114 people playing Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, an all-time low. Now, this was released back in February, right? And it immediately fell off. They saw the bump from DLC here. And currently it's sitting at a massive 114 players. You may be asking yourself, hey, Craig, where does that rank in the grand pantheon of top games on Steam right now? Well, Malcolm, while you were letting us know your thoughts and all that, I was doing a little bit of research. And let's play the over-under game. Where on the Steam charts does Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League currently stand? Chat, this is for you as well. Where does 114 players currently rank you? Malcolm, let's start with you first.
I'm going to guess 10,000.
Okay. All right. Blabs?
That was what I was thinking too. I think it's around 10,000.
Okay. Then I'm going to make another bet here. If you're going for the 10,000 mark, I'm going to go 6,000.
Okay. All right. Well, you both have overshot it, but not by much. It is currently sitting at the 2,767th most played game on Steam right now, with 115 players, with its peak right here. So
Total Annihilation. When did that game come out? Is that
right?
What's 2075?
Yeah. So right. Surrounded by games like Autonauts and Dicey Dungeons.
There was a Halo game in there. Fury. Star Wars Republic Commando, Halo Definitive Edition. Damn.
And NBA 2K18.
Yeah, it's that Total Annihilation from 1997.
Right. So it's currently being beat out by Nova Lands, Chicken Invaders Universe, and Sumba Blocks 2 Open Alpha. So there you go. Animal Jam also on top. Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy is currently beating it with 117.
That was a really old game.
That's a very old game, but a solid game nonetheless, right?
Wow, that is there you go. There's your Suicide Squad update. Maybe we should make that a regular feature on the show.
Where is Suicide Squad on the charts this week?
Suicide Squad update. Let's see exactly where it is. So,
it looks like a chore. Like, did you play it? Did you try the game?
No,
I would never buy that.
Right.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Malcolm.
No, I just saw it and it looked like a chore. Like when I was looking at the game, I know this type of game where it's this live service thing, and I'm like, I've got kids and a family. Like I don't have time for this sort of a game. And then, if even the story reward is super ideological, then that's a chore to get through as well. So like, who is buying this?
I'll tell you what, man.
The Simps is for Batman and all them. That's it.
Batman's the bad guy.
Yeah, but the Simps will still buy it because they're like, "Oh, what'd you expect? Is kill the Justice League?" And then be like, "Oh," and then they go and buy it.
Wouldn't it be great if we could get some good Arkham style games again, like the original ones, that beat 'em up style of game? That I just haven't seen a game that uses those mechanics in a while, and they were actually quite fun.
Well, ain't gonna happen. There's a story we've been trying to talk about for the better part of a week. It was released last week, and people were really upset about it. It's this EA game that was released called Tales of Kenzera, and it was a DEI game. It was through so it was a Sweet Baby Inc. game, and that game came out, and that game bombed, and people were like, "They're racist. They're all racist," because the game's based on like Zimbabwe or something. Like it's built around like this African lore, and I'll say this: the gameplay, when you watch the trailer, it looks like a fun like Metroidvania game, but people are like, "The racist won't play it." No. What people are saying, it's not, they're not playing it because of that. They're playing it because of who's associated with it. Like the Sweet Baby Kiss is real, and the Sweet Baby Kiss of death happened with this Tales of Kenzera before it even had a chance to get off the ground. It's currently sitting at a whopping 48 players with a peak of 200. This is an EA game. This is a game done by Electronic Arts.
And this one kind of makes me sad. I will say, and I think a lot of, I'm going to begin to feel a little bad, as I see the results of Gamergate 2 and the Sweet Baby Inc. Kiss of Death. Because for a lot of these people, if I'm saying that it's like this shadow religion that exists within our society and controls most of our institutions, the individuals who are working on these games, that this is basically their religion. Like they don't see anything wrong in what they're doing. And I shouldn't have any more animosity towards them as individuals than I would have if a studio was run by like a different religious community that was producing religiously themed content. The problem is I feel morally forced almost to boycott these sorts of products because of what other members of this religion are doing and the consequences if it gets financially rewarded, specifically because this cultural group is so low fertility. It can only survive by converting children from demographically healthy cultural groups, which often represent more conservative or mainstream religious traditions, which of course is leading to, because they control, the educational system and most media companies, what would be called a cultural genocide if it was being done to like a native population or something like that. If you were to take the children of a native population group and attempt to systematically erase their cultural value system, we'd be like, oh, that's a bad thing to do. And so sometimes you see a product like this from my perspective, and this product I don't think is an attempt to systemically erase anyone's cultural value system. It's just a passion project of people within this religious community that we are sort of morally forced to boycott. And it's something that I think is tragic, because, this is, a lot of people worked on these projects.
Yeah. Well, I tried to find exactly where this game is on the scale of games being played, and with 48 people playing it right now, it's somewhere in the 3,000s. So somewhere around 3,300 or so. So just for those who are on the Tales of Kenzera bandwagon, I just want to let you know it's probably time to hop off. Just gonna throw it out there. So. All right, man, you guys have been spectacular today. Tons of support. Thank you very much. We're going to make sure that we are going to read every single super chat and every single Rumble rant, every single direct donation before we go, including a $50 super chat from Sigrun came in. God, you guys have been spectacular today. So I'd be willing to do a Piracy Roundtable too. Labs,
yep.
down. There you go. That's spectacular. Thank you very much. Spectacular, which is great. Mercury came in with the one over on the direct donation. Says, I would love to have a relationship, but I myself have no chance whatsoever. All thanks to my autism. I couldn't read the room if my if my life depends on it. That's how bad it is for me. Mercury, it'll be all right, big daddy. Hey, Noodles also picked up the Blabs karaoke bucket hat. Look at that.
Yeah.
Go. It's got the
But
shirt.
listen, I have some breaking news for you.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's happening, baby. Jurassic World Evolution 3 announced, due out May 2026. So basically, my 30th birthday, I'm playing Jurassic World Evolution 3. That's it.
The first of those games was fantastic.
You can put me back now. I'll do it myself. I'm
Did you
excited.
play the
I
second one?
love the second one. The second one's even better than the first one.
Oh, it is.
It's 10 times better. The graphics have improved tremendously. It's a lot less clunky to play around with the mechanics. So give it a try.
It was a great idea for a game. Like, just conceptually, let's take, the roller coaster tycoon and then mix it with the Jurassic brand. That is a wonderful idea for a game.
I loved it. It was great.
And I'm glad to see that it's commercially successful.
Yeah, that's it. That's my breaking news. The end.
Why are you telling me this? What makes you think I have any interest in that at all?
Because now, like,
I'm just kidding. I'm glad that you tell us those things, Blaz, because you're passionate about it, and that's the most important thing. And I appreciate that. Sorry, I just wanted to. Sorry.
You're so dumb.
what am I done now? What the shit? Oh,
That's
I was
for
gonna say,
me.
what the hell? You
It's
know
me.
what?
Sometimes you gotta slap a bitch.
That's right. I'm gonna slap you.
It's ridiculous. Yes, that was for me. I'm sorry. All right. Hey, John came in and says, hey, forget buying Screw Attack. If you could buy Doom, Elder Scrolls, Spyro, and Crash off Microsoft, that'd be great. I could throw $5 towards that purchase. Hey, thanks, John. Appreciate that. That's great. Yeah. And by the way, as far as the Screw Attack stuff goes, I think that ship has sailed. I made my offer. I think the guy that I was talking to has since been relieved from his duties at Rooster Teeth. I think the entire company is now gone. I haven't really kept up with all that nonsense. So I would say the likelihood of Screw Attack being acquired by me or really anybody for the long foreseeable future probably won't happen. So for those who have been curious about it, the deadline for it was the start of the month because that's when everybody was laid off. So unless some sort of crazy miracle happens, I don't think it's going to happen. Lazon came in with the $10 direct donation. Says, regarding these female changes to Star Wars, did you see that Microsoft urged developers not to create female characters with, quote, exaggerated body proportions on their official site to support game devs?
Yes, that was so sad because this is what I'm talking about. Like, you see the market pressure. Like, you and I, like, we're watching this and we're seeing these big EA games getting like 100 concurrent players. And you think that the companies would be reacting to this. You think that if they were financially driven still and not in like a cult, they would change their behavior. And like, you see a doubling down, which to me says that I just don't know how these companies can course correct if in the face of this kind of market pressure, they're doubling down.
Epsilona says, I never understood the appeal of going to Disney as a kid. Growing up, it was a place for Mickey and crew, who I thought were gay as fuck, and was more about Looney Tunes as a kid. Years later, I learned that they also made movies like Hercules and Aladdin, which I lolled. Thank you, Epsilon. Appreciate that. Funny stuff. Blake over on Rumble says, Craig, stay on watch in the Australian accent. I don't even know how to do an Australian accent anymore. I'm sorry, Blake. Mayo Riot says, we are autistic, but the satanic are the problem. Thank you, Mayo Riot. Appreciate that. Once again, that's a Rumble.
Elevate the Tex Avery and Looney Tunes universe over the Disney universe. It's just always been a lot better in terms of the content and a lot edgier.
Yeah. Don't you forget Bugs Bunny with the little engines.
Little engines? Is that what you said? Engines?
Engines.
Oh, what's that? What's that, Blabs?
Engines?
Like
He
Indians?
was saying, yeah, but he was saying engine.
Oh, okay. All right.
Well, there was that great reboot was like the new Lola Bunny, which I just find clips of her hilarious.
I haven't seen it.
I didn't watch that new Lola Bunny.
Yeah. Mayo Riot says, -1 is one of the best theater experiences I've ever had. I don't care how people see it. It's awesome. Thanks, Mayo Riot. Appreciate that. That is great. Then we have McLeod came in with the $5 Rumble rant. Says, women who chose bear outdated themselves. Someone that delusional isn't worth being around. Thank you, McLeod. Appreciate that.
Oh, I said it wrong. Chat saying it's Indians, and I was saying Indians.
Engine. That's right.
Yeah. I'm just remedial.
These bear choosing women are removing themselves from the gene pool. You know, they only exist insofar as they can convert other people's children, because women who make these kinds of choices are not the type of women who are finding partners. And so, you know, it's as hard as it is for our generation, at least we're blessed by the fact that our children won't have to deal with these people.
Accurate. It'll be one generation and they're out because they're not reproducing. Blake says, to the women who would choose the bear, now you understand why I don't want men in women's restrooms. Oh, there you go, Blake. Wow. Nice.
That's
pretty
the
nice.
rules don't apply when it might interfere with the ideology.
Yes. It'd be like, well, yeah, but it's different. He's not a bear. It's like, oh, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Blabs, go read off Extra Zero right here with the $4.99.
All right, so Extra Zero says movies need longer theatrical runs. It's nuts to think how long The Matrix and Braveheart stayed in theaters. Need a legit way to own when they exit. Yes, but also on locals, Mojo's and the dollar tip saying, when I now hear the phrase "made for modern audience," I just think, oh, it's made for demons. Got it.
Well, there's no movies these days that are of the quality of Matrix or Braveheart, at least that I've seen recently. And one of the thoughts I've been having recently that I want to elevate about the Matrix is it's wild that we adopted the analogy from Matrix about red pill or blue pill, you know, take the red pill. And
right.
Yet so many people who take the red pill now then act like the villain of the Matrix who just wants to like veg out hedonistically after taking the red pill, and basically betray trying to make things better. No, it's you take the red pill and then now that you can see through it, you try to fix the system. You don't say, okay, now I just want to forget everything and eat steak in my mansion, you know? So yeah. I make this as a call to action. Take the red pill, then do something about it.
All right. Andrew says, what are you doing, Craig?
I'm reading off Rumble Rant from Mighty Megatron, who came in and says, can we get Blabs to sing my remix in the Disney old theme tune? When you wish upon a star, there's no telling who you are. Men in dresses, rainbow asses, you are home. Thank you, Mighty Megatron. Appreciate that. Kyle came in and says, Mr. Collins, I'll make half that amount of children because 4 of them is even a stretch for me. The fun of having little ones to obliterate in Mario Kart for the first few years sounds awesome. Until they beat you. Then all of a sudden you're like, oh, crap.
We just got to 4 last week. And our oldest is 4. So we got to keep the factory running.
Dude came in and says, if purchasing doesn't ensure ownership, then piracy isn't theft. It's the digital. Dude's big on that as well. Yes. You see that all the time where digital items are removed from your catalog or whatever it may be. So very lot of fluctuating things here. Reek says, finally someone says let's see. Finally someone says the LGBT cannot reproduce, so they have to indoctrinate other couples' kids. Thank you. We appreciate that.
And that's why they target people are always like, why do they target kids? And the reason is because people are most likely to deconvert from their birth culture or religion between the ages of 15 and 21. So just from the perspective of cultural evolution, the iterations of these cultural groups that targeted those age ranges are going to proliferate at a faster rate than the iterations that don't, which mostly die out. And that's why you don't see them as much. So even though it may seem immoral that they would overly target kids, that's why you see that happening.
I think Craig's on a delay. you just sit there, Craig. Andrew says piracy should be encouraged more these days. Look at Craig. He's so blurry too right now. That's funny. Anyway, Nathan says, as game end, piracy is a service problem, but it's also the most reliable way to preserve games nowadays. Also, Godzilla -1 Blu-ray is coming in September. Thank you, Nathan.
Yeah. Oh, I was just going to elevate the idea that was discussed earlier. That's when live service games can be removed from players, and we see companies do this where they take back things that you quote unquote own. And I think what we're seeing there is the same thing we're seeing in private piracy, which is that we're all actors within an economy that play within the rules that the law allows us. And corporations will screw you over. If you're talking about like honor code, right? Like corporations don't operate on an honor code, and therefore we don't need to operate in the way we engage with them on an honor code either. Both groups do what's allowed of them. And that part of the way we spend our money is to share our ideology and beliefs and to punish those who go in the other direction, as companies do. I mean, companies like Disney punish individual actors who don't share their ideological beliefs, like we saw with the Gina Carano situation. So why should they be immune from us doing the same? That wasn't a just thing of them to do. That wasn't even within their contract. They just had more money and bigger lawyers.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's right. All right, let me try to get through these because there's like a whole bunch of them, or else we'll be here till like 5 p.m. Okay, the Pally Dance says, in the lore, Soren's face haunted Gollum between Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, caught and tortured him for info on the ring. Oh, so maybe that will be it.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Taker,
wait, are we talking black, brown, or polar bears? Oh, there is a difference between all the bears, so
yes.
Yeah. The Antiquary, there is no such thing as capitalism. It would be best to stop using Marx's reframing of freedom. Okay. Suno Soul Silver. Microsoft, these layouts are a rated E for everyone. That's awful. Max says, piracy, theft, nothing more. Everyone knows it's wrong. Cut the crap justification and own up to being a lowly thief. So tired of this degeneracy. To each their own.
Thanks, Max.
Music and fiction. Ferengi rules of acquisition rule 3. Never spend more for an acquisition that you have to. Yeah, that's like collectors too. Yeah. Joey, Call of Duty releasing on Game Pass would be great for games, but horrible for companies. Companies would lose a ton of revenue if they put it on Game Pass. Thanks, Joey. Dan, Evil Robot. It makes no sense to me why not Godzilla -1 released digital on North America, Amazon Prime, but I have a feeling it's going to be released on physical with Japanese, English, or other languages. Thank you, Dan, Evil Robot. Spartacus, women can't be feminine, men can't be masculine. It's all about moving us to androgyny so they can then push us into transhumanism. They want to redefine what it means to be human. Yes, soulless. Mo says, Craig, I bought AVG and VG. I loved it. Fuck death boxes.
Thanks, Mo. Appreciate that. We purposely did that we made it extremely hard on purpose.
DB Wild, allow me to channel my inner J. Let's talk games. Thank you. Corey, by the way, do you have a Twitter or something? I didn't see any notifications. Stealing is stealing regardless of who you steal from. Thank you, Corey. Rebound, it's a commie thing. All beautiful should be subverted. That is why they are ugly, immoral, and disgusting. Anything to their opposite is fascist. Ask Dev. Thank you, Rebound. Joseph says, Blabs, what is a DVD-A? I'm assuming it's DVD Region A. I'm just going to go with that. I don't know. Tommy, love Brown, Tinkerbell, and Peter Pan Goes Wrong from a play Goes Wrong, UK, but was clearly made to be funny. Yeah, it's a parody, I'm assuming. JM, Craig, what do you get at Whataburger?
Oh, good question. So at Whataburger, the hamburger is obviously, it's fine, right? A lot of people say, Whataburger versus In-N-Out. I'll say this. I think the In-N-Out burger is better than Whataburger, but the Whataburger is good. The best thing at the Whataburger, though, is the chicken fingers, chicken strips. You get chicken strips, you get white gravy, and you get, I believe you get a piece of toast with it as well as some fries and stuff. So, yeah, I get the chicken strip dinner is the best.
I want chicken. Anyway.
Let's go.
Jack Smith, Disney equals epitome of why we can't have nice things. Correct. Magnum, I hate to minimize the show's topics, but is this even relevant? I don't know which one you were requesting, but I think we're all relevant, all these topics.
Yeah, there are many times where we go on rants, and you know that, Magnum North. Thank you so much. We end up in left field when we started going to the parking lot.
Magna Defender says the biggest source of woke America comes from public universities. If the fellowship wants to defeat this insanity, they should directly reform those institutions, i.e. change them from the inside. A lot harder than said to be done. That's crazy. Big Pete Bear. Speaking of kids, the Amish, the Mennonites, and the Mormons are single-handedly saving the whites. I come from a huge Mennonite family. Yeah.
Saving the whites.
The white saviors. The real ones.
That'll be clipped. I'm sure that'll be.
I am the Icarus. Hard to be a normal parent in 2024. Normal
Listen,
men emote.
We all know that. It is very, very hard.
We're just normal men.
All right.
We're just normal. Bulk squat thrust. Disney has decided to throw itself into a death cult. It has created based on its ideological and financial decisions. How investors haven't completely revolted by now is wild. Yeah. Zenega Master Blabs Jurassic World Evolution 3 coming May 2026, and that is the reason why I saw it on IG and I saw the super chat and I was like, what? So thank you. Toxic Walt says the timeline adds up so that Nintendo is in the same position as Disney was when they built the first park, but that amount of capital isn't available. Thank you, Toxic Waltz.
Well, they're going to be in Universal.
What?
They're going to be in Universal, so they'll have their own park in Universal. So.
Xander says people were shocked why I didn't go to Disney in Japan by myself. I don't get why they think I would go to a park by myself. That's just depressing. To each their own. Tommy says, YouTube is blocking me from sending a super chat. Want to ask about the owner of Tesla buying Company D. Would it even make a chance at Company D? I'm thinking he means Elon and Disney. But your super chat arrived.
Yeah, we're here. Thank you, Tommy.
Thank you, Tommy. Mercenary.
Well, real quick, let's answer that question. He asked about Elon buying Company D or Disney. I mean, the likelihood, very, very low. But it'd be very curious to see if he's actually reached out to do it. But I also didn't think he'd buy X. Malcolm?
Well, I don't think he meant to buy X. I think his lawyers screwed up, and he was just having fun, and then he got stuck with X. But I think he's, it's good for the world that ended up happening. If he bought Disney, would he even have anything? I mean, if you look at the level of gutting he had to do with X after he bought it, all he would really have after buying Disney is the parks and the intellectual properties that Disney used to own, which I don't think are particularly high utility versus just creating new intellectual properties. Given the damage they've done to them already.
Yeah, he should just do his own IP, whatever with X, just X movies and all that, which is basically going to do that. We know that. Mercenary says Wake Squad most likely lost way more than admitted. Oh, Woke Squad. Yeah, maybe it's more than 200. Joey, I'm glad Suicide Squad tanked. The way they disrespected Batman and his legacy was egregious. Yes, it was terrible. Dan says, I have no interest to play Suicide Squad game. Thumbs down. Thanks, Dan.
Neither does anybody else.
Spartacus, bureaucracies do take forever to course correct, or they end up like a plan, plummeting to the ground too soon. Or a plane, I think it's supposed to be. Yeah, thanks, Spartacus. Extra Zero says, WB has made EA and Ubisoft look respectable. Sure, thank you, Extra Zero. Rod says, just a friendly reminder, FYI, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League had 42 writers, all from Sweet Baby, while on the OG trilogy is less than half of Woke Squad, made an amazing series people love, but when this OG staff left, was a sign. Yes, so when they left, it was shit.
How do you have 42 writers? Like, you have 42 of anything, it's going to be a mess. That's crazy.
To make cooks in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. Wow. Mark, Harley Quinn, Harlem, New York. Hello? Thank you, Mark. Xander, thanks, Craig, Mark. Was Blab's Ravine a love potion? I was gifted a little prop replica from Harry Potter that's a love potion bottle. That's it. Go check it out on my YouTube. Self-plug.
Okay. All right.
Adam says, I saw the game when it was being demoed on one of the Game Award shows, and the guy responsible for it was a black supremacist, pretty much. Thanks, Adam. Nathan says, as far as the Zhao dev is concerned, his game deserved to fail. He is a confirmed SBI insider. As much as I like the setting, I give no quarter for SBI. True enough.
Yeah.
Elson says, breaking news, Blabs is going to have the lamest birthday ever. Listen, if I'm relaxing on my 30th birthday in 2 years from now playing Jurassic World Evolution, I would say that's a win. And I might just be more happier than you'll ever be. Just saying, but thank you. Mercenary says the system isn't broken. It's working as intended. Sure enough. Thank you, Mercenary. Master says, I pray that the Lord keeps Craig's pimp hands strong. The bears will take care of the rest.
I forgot what the pimp hand is very strong. And if you know anything about me, this is an accurate thing that sometimes you got to slap a bitch. That's right. It's very we need to stop that.
Yeah. Tommy says the Church of Copianism, a Swedish invention by the same. They remade the Pirate Bay and a Swedish political party. Control C, Control V, Amen. Thank you, Tommy. I'm very confused, but thank you.
Thanks, Tommy.
Pyro says, oh yeah, speaking of clownfish, apparently Roblox is having anti-commie protest over equal pay. Thank you, Pyro.
Okay.
Remdog says, Malcolm, did you go to the Natalist conference recently? How to combat the race accusations?
Yeah, I was. There was a Politico piece on it. It was really big. The conference was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I was at the conference. There definitely was nobody who was racist who was platformed or speaking at the conference. Whether or not some racists attended the conference, there's racists who attend Democratic events too. There's going to be like a few racists in the audience anywhere. But when you have reporters who are trying to make a sensationalist story, of course, they're going to comb through the audience for anyone they can find who's going to have a racist sentiment. But it definitely was not a racist convention. If somebody had publicly espoused, aggressive racist views, they wouldn't be platformed at a convention like this either.
All right. And Dylan says, course blabs call it X movies. Freudian slip. Listen, X, I don't know what you would define it, but whatever. I'm moving on. Miner says, I'm 2 hours late. Stupid job got in the way. Well, Miner, you're here now. Thank you for you too. And I am caught up on the tubes.
We appreciate that, Miner. You do have a song to sing, Blabs.
I do. I have the lyrics in case I mess up too.
Okay. John also came in with a $5 direct donation. Says male in an action adventure game is male in an action adventure game is shirtless when he would realistically have armor. Not a word from the left. Female has cleavage showing her armor and or has makeup or isn't as muscular as she would be realistically. Oh, that's problematic, apparently. Thanks, John. Appreciate that. And accurate. All right, Blabs, the song you need to sing is from Kratos El Kratos. You need to sing What a Wonderful World.
Yeah, but Blabs is Tower Tard, right?
Yes. So here we are. Courtesy of Kratos El Kratos, ladies and gentlemen, Blabs the Tower Tard singing What a Wonderful World.
All right. Oh, that's Stitch. Never mind.
No,
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I have to keep going.
Yeah, keep going.
I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I'm done now. Thank you.
Way to go, man.
I like this call. What a wonderful tard.
What a wonderful tard.
Thanks, Kratos.
Miner, don't send me any of those books. I'm not going to read them. Thanks, Miner. Pepe came in and says, Devil's Advocate, apply piracy to medical advances. If you had a cure for cancer, would you give it out for free or make profit? The moral dilemmas we encounter in life are interesting. Thanks, Pepe. Appreciate that. All right. Let's get out of here. I need everyone to go check out Malcolm's channel. Malcolm, tell everybody about where they can find you.
Based Camp. You can find us on YouTube or pretty much anywhere where there are podcasts. And we would love to have you. And I'd also love to come back, maybe have a debate about, like, I suspect the piracy roundtable will delve into deontological ethical systems versus consequentialist ones, which is always a fun discussion. We release an episode every weekday. And we talk about sex, religion, and politics. While trying to have unique takes on the subjects.
If you want to listen to Malcolm talk about sex, there's your selling point right there. Let's go. All right. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in today. Appreciate your massive support. We obviously can't do the show without you, so all that Rumble, Rants, Director Nation, Super Chats, super huge and greatly appreciated. Once again, go subscribe to Blabs over on YouTube as she drives closer to monetization on her YouTube channel. It's going to be great when she gets there. And with that said, I will be back tomorrow for an hour of power, playing Donkey Kong Country 3 tomorrow afternoon. But before that, we'll be back for Side Scrollers at 11 a.m. Central Time when we're back at it. Blabs, who do we have on the show tomorrow?
Oh, Melanie Mac.
What? Melanie Mac is coming back for a day? Oh, boy. Melanie Mac joins us tomorrow on Friday. It's going to be great. Return of the Mac. Spread the word. All right, let's get out of here, guys. Have a great day. Remember, people are going to try to keep you down. Don't let them. You guys got a goal. Go get it. See you guys later. Bye-bye.
Fatality.